Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And are stinky.
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys, just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Basketball, call sign Catboy.
I'm John Gilardi, call sign Sasquatch.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of plane do you think you would fly?
I mean, if I'm being honest, probably like a bomber or like support type plane.
I feel like I would fly probably some sort of something really high altitude, like essentially like one of those like old bomber, not bomber, but like spy planes.
Spy planes? Yeah.
Yeah. Just because I have 2015 vision or something like that.
Damn.
So it's like good.
I don't, so that I would not be able to pull G's. Oh, here's something. So, I'm like cringing thinking about it.
Good.
There's two forms of lace or like enhancing your eyes, and one is LASIK where you like cut a flap, you slide in the lens, and it heals, right?
Okay.
The other one
is that what they do? They put something in your eye? I thought they just rearrange the corneas or rods or whatever.
I think either way.
Rods and cones.
That detail isn't important. And then in the Air Force or even Navy, probably with the airmen there, they essentially grind it down, and then and correct it. They grind the surface of your eyeball down and then correct it instead of cutting the flap. And they do that because on G's, if you have LASIK, like traditional LASIK with the slits, those slits will fly open.
Oh, that's bad too. That's bad.
Yeah, so
those are two bad. Those are two bad images. Talking about grinding my eyes down and then my eyes splitting open from the inside.
Yeah. So I mean, I would not be able to be pulling crazy G's. So I would be a support because I'm not getting my I don't know. Obviously, if you're passionate and you want to be like a fighter pilot, you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
But no, that's I would be flying those cargo planes or like some kind of bomber. I don't know. Maybe like a C-130, one of those big ones, or maybe the recon plane, the Comanche or whatever they called it in this.
Yeah.
That's my explanation on why I wouldn't.
Isn't a Comanche a sort of like a helicopter, plane?
What did they call that? They called it something though, like that.
Probably
U.S. stealth or U.S. recon plane.
Comanche plane helicopter. Palane, I spelled it wrong. Comanche plane for sale. Got it. Nope, that's not.
Was I right?
I was wrong. It's probably Comanche helicopter.
Yeah, Comanche. I mean, because they use Native American names for helicopters, like the Chinook,
like
Apache, Black Hawk. Yeah, that's like the naming conventions.
Gotcha. Well, this week we're talking about the latest and greatest from Scientologist in charge, Thomas Cruise, Sir Thomas.
Scientologist extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Comanche looks like the stealth helicopter they use in the Zero Dark 30.
Yeah, I don't think that's what we're thinking of. I know what you're thinking of, where it's sort of like a plane helicopter.
Yeah, but they called it I don't know. It's a plane. It's just that's like a radar dish thing.
Heliocopter.
U.S. Navy.
Helicopter Comanche. No, that's wrong. Helicopter Apache? No, that's wrong.
So we're obviously Tom Cruise, Top Gun. Did your screening have a little like message from Tom Cruise before?
Oh yeah, baby.
It was so weird. It's like, we did this for you guys. And it's like, no, Tom Cruise, you did this for you, which is fine. But I don't know. Do you believe that?
I honestly, I believe that Tom Cruise believes that.
I mean, I believe that he's such a cinema creator, and he believes in the movie theater experience, and that he had people's interests. Like this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's Tom Cruise. He did it for himself too.
Well, I think he did it for the millions of dollars that he's making.
But he also likes to do these things to stay alive.
Yeah, that is.
Like-
I'm uploading a picture to the chat right now. This is. I don't know if you saw this. Oh man, it's got a fucking thing on top of it. Hold on, I'll send it to you. I'll do it again. This is Tom Cruise, like I want to say in late 2021. Yeah, October 2021. This is Tom Cruise at a San Francisco Giants game.
Oh, where he looks puffy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
you don't need to send it.
Oh, too bad. I'm sending it. I don't care. I already sent it. But it's there, and I just think it's like that to what he looks like in the advertisement. Like, Tom Cruise is the master of, like, I think this photo in this from the San Francisco, again, I'm not like I'm not like here to people go through health things and whatever it is, you go up
You
and go
shaming
down.
the man?
I'm not damning the man. Listen, man.
I know what you're saying. The man's fought age for so long, and
But
he's
he's-
done so good. In the cracks, you only can do so
This
much.
is like
at a certain point.
I think this is also, but it's also the first time that we've seen, like, I think, again, the whatever the bullshit scuttlebutt online is like, oh, these are antibiotics, or like he's puffy from getting facial surgery, or whatever the various things are, and it's like, and then to see him where in the like the press photos, where the press photos and then the pre-roll thing essentially, where he looks like appropriately aged but also like good. You know, like I think that was one of the things where I was like, damn, Tom, you pulled it off. Like you did the market testing and you figured out how old you can look and how you can look good old. Like, I honestly 100% believe that he did, like, market testing for, like, well, what level of wrinkles can we put on my face? Where do we put them? How do we have them lay? What level of hair am I? And again, I'm not, like, necessarily even against it, but it's just so, that's what it feels like. It feels like he got market tested to look his age appropriateness.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because watching the film, you notice weird little things that they're hiding his age.
Yeah.
For example, there's a beach. The first Top Gun has a like very famous volleyball scene on the beach of San Diego or whatever. So they kind of recreated that with dogfighting football, where you play offense and defense at the same time. I don't know,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it was a cool concept. But what's what was important or whatever is that it's a scene on the beach, like hot bods, sweaty bods, sun glistening, and Tom Cruise was all filmed like chest up tight, and then he immediately puts a shirt on as soon as he steps aside and he throws a shirt on. And I'm not shaming the man. I'm not at all. I'm just saying, like,
and I'll tell you
they
what,
were-
he
they were
looks
hiding
fucking
it.
good as shit, though. you know,
the way they filmed it, the illusion, what you see, your brain completes the picture, but they weren't letting you bask in it.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. And there was a sex scene too that was very like, here's 55-year-olds having their hot steamy sex. It was I don't know, like
they're
was interesting.
still hot, but they're the right age. And
yeah. So it was just like there's just little things like that throughout the movie, and you kind of pick up on it. And it's like, oh, because like Tom Cruise is not going to show himself even if it's even like an ounce of compromising. So it was just interesting to see how much things were held back.
Which is
it had the classic Tom Cruise having to run scene. That was
Yeah.
fun. And how do you get that in a movie with planes? Well,
yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
I guess
and I
spoiler
think
alert, we can
too.
get to it, but
So sort of jumping off that, I think like Tom Cruise isn't going to show himself in any sort of like compromising or in a bad movie, and so I think it's really funny that this movie sat on the shelf. I think this movie. When was this movie supposed to come out? Was it supposed to come out in 2020 or 2019?
it was filmed early 2019, so early 2019.
Yeah. So I think Top Gun original release date. Top Gun original release date. The original release date.
Obviously, like holding off for the reason for it to be in the
The
film.
sequel
for it
was
to be in the movie
originally
theater.
the sequel was originally scheduled to be released on July 12th, 2019. then was pushed to June 26, 2020, and then again, and obviously it came out, so it's like he's not gonna not like put himself in the position to succeed. And I think that's like, it's just so funny the level of like he is sort of like, especially after the Will Smith slap, after that has sort of like, and the slow crumbling of Will Smith's sort of like movie star facade with the red table talk and all that stuff. And you've kind of seen like Tom Cruise, just talking about sort of like celebrity culture. Oh, hold on, words. Celebrity culture here for like a second is like,
yeah,
it's like Tom Cruise had his like weird moment, and then Scientology had its moment, and now he's just like, everything's in the shadows, and I'm a movie star again, and I'm the only movie star. Whereas like Will Smith was sort of like that way with him, and then his movies started doing bad. He started doing bad movies, and then his family started airing their business.
Are you talking about Smith? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. I mean, Mummy is like a rare
The
thing.
exception. Yeah.
It's sort of the exception, but it's also like, I don't know. That was a swing. And even if you go back and look at The Mummy, it's not a good movie. Not a good movie by any stretch. But it's not like After Earth.
No.
It's not like, something where it just like completely like, it's people like generally are like, The Mummy's not good. But no one's like, that movie was the worst thing that I've seen ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's not talked about. It's like in a weird place that's maybe worse, or I don't know. It's forgettable, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, so the age, like, what are you saying? I guess so Tom Cruise is back to just being the movie star and no controversy.
Well, and it's just surprising that he has no controversy. Well, I think that it's just like the ability and sort of like the methodicalness of which he has maintained control. Whereas it feels like Will Smith has lost control. And like, I'm going to say that they're sort of like the last two big movie stars, Brad Pitt is also up there. Johnny Depp is also up there. I mean, you could also look at Johnny Depp but Johnny Depp is obsessed with his own image. And I don't know, there's a really interesting Rolling Stone article about essentially how divorced he is from reality. Yeah,
you mentioned it before, with like his family too, and the money he gives them, and the disconnect there. But how do we start talking about like where do you start with this movie? Like it's so easy to call back to the original too, and like lose touch of that. Like I don't know. How do
I'm gonna start with a big statement here. A big statement. I'm gonna say that Tom Cruise and his creative team, they have done the best unnecessary sequel ever, and nobody needs to try anymore. Like this is a completely unnecessary sequel to a movie from the 80s, but it's really good. Like I think that this is the best unnecessary sequel, that there possibly could be, and everyone else can stop trying, because on a whole, I don't need Zoolander 2. I don't need Dumb and Dumber
Anchorman 2.
I don't need Anchorman 2.
Just comedies. No, I agree. I think it's a great sequel. It's a fun movie. I think more people today could watch the first one and enjoy it because of the 80s nostalgia, and just the genuineness, and it just was such a good movie at the time, and with the age and the nostalgia. But I feel like there's a lot of people who loved that are first-time viewers within the last 5 years or whatever, that watch this one that won't get that. Like this, like, because you just don't have that nostalgia sheen, or the 80s sheen, or that kind of charm that comes with something old. And like, don't get me wrong, I liked it a lot, but like my girlfriend, for example, enjoyed the first one just because, 80s fun actors. I mean, Val Kilmer in his prime, whatever. And then I wouldn't see her enjoying this one, because it doesn't have that. Simply, it's the same movie, but it just doesn't have that holding. And I wonder how much of that kind of just being a classic for people watching today makes that one so much better than this. But for me, they're the same movie and in a good way, and I'm having fun with it. And it almost feels like it's a movie that, I mean, it's definitely a movie that needs to be viewed in theaters. It's a spectacle. It feels like it feels contemporary and modern, like it's not dated, but it also has a lot of callbacks to like the summer blockbuster movies, you know?
Yeah.
Like the Pearl Harbor or the Godzilla, like the American first one. Like not good movies, but there's something about those hyped up summer blockbusters, you know, you just, I don't know. And there's good ones. For some reason, I'm not like Independence Day, you know, they're like, this feels like that, and it's an event, and it's always at the beginning of the summer, and there's something to it, and being part of the, like, seeing it at the time that it's live, you know, in the theater with the sound and all that stuff, like, is so important to it. And so that's like, I didn't think these guys didn't have a point with being sticklers about it being in a theater, but I think this movie is one of the better examples of why that's so important. And yeah, I don't know.
I think this movie, like, there's two movies that come to mind specifically that like are like they kind of need to be seen in theaters, and it's like this movie where it's just like absolute candy blockbuster, but it's like a good treat where it's like, you know how it's gonna taste, you know how everything is gonna play out, but you're still like got little surprises along the way, you got little things, and it's like you need to see this big. You need to sort of like see all the things. I mean, it's just like pure blockbuster. And the other one is like Dune, where it's just like it's like completely immersive. And it's just like those are the movies, like, you know, I would say that like most movies are better on the big screen just because it is. But as far as like, especially now in this day and age where it's like, what do you need to go see in theaters? And it's like, it's kind of Dune and Top Gun, you know, because
well, it's like even Marvel movies, I don't think are necessary to see in the theater, you know,
well,
in the way that a Top Gun is. So it's,
and I mean, part of that is the TV thing where it's like, that's kind of now that they've sort of like opened up that same quality onto Disney Plus with Moon Knight or Loki or, you know, WandaVision or any of those things where it's like, now that content is there, like, let's, like, it feels like it's like, all right, well, Multiverse of Madness could just be released on Disney Plus and it's still gonna do its thing. Yeah. You know? Like, No Way Home still feels like it belongs in theaters because it kind of fits this sort of like big event thing with Top Gun. But like Multiverse of Madness, it's a fine movie, but I really feel like it could have just been Disney Plus, you know?
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know. Like, I watched The Last Duel. I'm looking at like my recent movies, and it's like, is that a theater movie or is that like where do you draw the line? And we could analyze movies like this all day, but the bottom line is Top Gun is a theater movie. Go see it now if you have any inkling of interest, because it's crucial, I think, to the experience, and just you kind of feel a part of something like in that summer blockbuster vibe.
Bro,
I mean, it's not a big thing, but what? When
my fucking theater, like, it was packed. So I went on the Saturday.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely jam-packed. Went with my dad and my sister, and it was probably the most like community experienced like film that I've been to in a long time. Because like people were like, yeah, hell yeah, you know he is. It's him. He's there. And everyone's like, and instead of people being like, hey, shut up. It was more like people were like, fuck yeah, I'm with you. People were like, whoa, yeah. They were like actively cheering, clapping and stuff in the middle of movies and moments. You know, it was like a rapport in the theater. It was so fucking cool. Yeah. And there was like, but someone's like phone went off in a moment, and someone's like, come on, you know how to turn your phone off? But like, no, it wasn't like antagonistic. It was kind of like everyone was bros. I don't know how
Yeah.
to like. It was such a like fun experience just seeing this movie in theaters.
Yeah, and there's like they keep the American patriotic stuff. It could be worse, but it's still like, I don't know. Fuck yeah, whatever. I'm gonna be patriotic and enjoy this movie for a minute. I don't know. Like it's just but like I don't know if like that's a vibe. Especially probably half that theater was like, classic American like type. So
Yeah,
but
for
like
sure.
that energy does lift up the room, and you're seeing cool shit with like cool planes, and I don't know. It's like I don't know how to explain it. Because
Well,
there's
no,
like
'cause it's
blind
just like-
hatred. It's
It is, but it's like again the same thing with like the first Top Gun movie too. It's like it's so insidiously woven into it, and I say insidious not because like it's like evil, but it's just like they're incepting you with it. Like not like they're not like shoving it down your throat like some Chris Pratt movies, but it's like they're very much like this is just how it is, and you're just like you're like hell yeah, and they also do such a good job of making a nameless villain, and that's like one of the things that we can talk about.
Yeah,
Where
With
it's just-
it's the dialogue is so funny. It's like it
enemy.
feels like a Disney ride again. Like it's like
does
it's so
feel like a
direct, but
Disney
it's
ride.
not saying anything, but it's also saying everything you need. It's the weirdest combination of everything all at once without everything all at once. And it's clearly there's some kind of Soviet or Russian in this case, I guess, in the new one, kind of
Sort
tie.
yeah.
But it's like it's missions. I don't know. It's but that's
Yeah, it's
like
about
the fun
it's
thing.
less
like,
about it's less about the enemy than it is about the mission.
yeah,
Which
there's,
is
there's
in
no
a very
politics
like
in this.
yeah, which is a very like sort of like which gets you going in the like even for me as like a pretty like hardcore liberal, whatever like sort of left-wingy type person, it's just like I don't know, the mission does need to get did.
Yeah.
We got to do the mission. It takes
It's like a D&D campaign. Like it's
Yeah.
like taking things that are familiar and just making them parallel, and I don't know. It's
Here's
and I think that's why it makes it easy to feel patriotic, because it's like I don't know what these like it's just like cool planes, like character
Simple
archetypes
mission.
of every type. You're gonna project yourself on one of these people because they cover every kind of like personality and like hot-headedness to quiet and reserved, like all different things. So you're gonna find someone.
they got Bob in there
and-
for you.
Yeah, like I'm probably the Bob. Yeah. Well, who are you? You're probably more Goose, who's dead, but
Yeah, I'm probably more Goose who's dead. Yep, that's it. Thanks, bud. Because I don't think I would be Rooster. I would definitely be like, yeah. I think in the first movie, I'm trying to think about who in the second movie. I'm probably like, I don't know. I don't fucking know, dude. I'm trying to think. I'm probably the guy who's like the second in command to John Hamm, who's like,
he's kind of
You
like
gotta-
a
you
hard
gotta-
ass, but like cheering in the background.
yeah, he's like, yes, he did it. Like he's in the background being like, nice, good.
And he's like, you have no sense of timing, do you? When he asks about the deck level or whatever.
Yeah.
And then or lowering it. Let's we can get back to broad strokes. So let's talk about characters, I guess.
Yeah,
And
let's do it.
characterizations. I guess I'll start with a negative right off the bat.
Do it, dude.
Everyone's kind of development is so backloaded in the end of the third act, let alone in the third act. And so it kind of felt like I was at a point in the movie. I was like, well, Rooster hasn't changed, Hangman hasn't changed, supporting cast is still the supporting cast, and like Maverick's kind of facing mortality and learning to let go, with whatever that means and whatever level. And that was interesting, but it was like at a point where I was like, well, what's the point of the supporting cast right now? Like no one from Miles Teller down. And then obviously it all kind of landslides and happens real fast. But it almost happens so fast that I don't know if it's like the movie bakes it for so long that it should
Yeah.
feel earned, but it just happens so fast. You're like, what? And
you get.
and I don't know if it's it's satisfying in the end result, but I don't know if it's satisfying how fast it happens. And I wish there was maybe one more scene with Rooster and Maverick, and they kind of like they get over their shit when their backs to the wall and they're going to war together, you know?
Yeah.
And that's like the easy time, the obvious choice. So it's not wrong. It's not poorly written, but it's I feel like there just needed to be one more scene there. And then Hangman like getting snuffed and then like just becoming like just getting over it and being like whatever, like we're missing something there. Like it's satisfying, like it's always cool to see the hothead like become humble, but there's nothing there, you know. Maybe Maverick talks to him and is like, hey man, I was you, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're a great pilot, you know, whatever. Maybe that scene would have helped that turn. Like I think there was just a missing scene for the two big character turns, and Hangman's minor enough where fine, don't put it in, but I felt like Rooster missed one. And I don't know. So that's kind of my introduction. That's my biggest negative on characterizations.
Yeah. I mean, I think like a lot of that's valid, and I think that if it was in a different movie, I would be like, hell yeah, John, go off. But I don't know how much it matters in this movie, because I feel like there's enough of that sort of like show don't tell, lowest common denominator. We see Hangman's reaction to not getting chosen for the squad, and we see him in the moment before Rooster goes off to do his roostering, and he's like, fucking give him hell, bruh, and isn't an asshole for the first time in the movie. That's some character development right there, and that he's there willing to be on the side, and then he's still enough of his own person. I mean, but like, and then we get to see like, I think one of the things, like, kind of with you, where I do agree with you, is like the Rooster Maverick like combo, like them agreeing and being on the same page with each other. It does happen relatively quickly, where it's like it kind of just is whenever, spoiler alert, whatever, Rooster saves Maverick, and he's like, well, I'm glad to see you, which again, it was a great moment, but it was like that's our only moment where it, like, they come together. Yeah, I mean, again, I just think in this movie, it just like, it hits the beats. Like, it was something that's like going back to, it's supposed to come out in July 2019, where it's like, it's been gestating. I feel like they either just like got it perfect and sat on it and then just marketed the shit out of it, or they like were like tweaking it and making sure that it was perfect. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not super knocking the movie. Like, I think it's...
No, I can see that you're super knocking the movie.
Like I said, the Hangman thing, take it or leave it. But, you know, I think there's maybe just one moment missing with Goose and Rooster, because it felt like the moments that they did have, or maybe one different moment, but because the moments they did have kind of felt like the same dynamic, the same exchange. Nothing was growing. You know, there was no... Like, there's one moment where they're playing on the beach, and Rooster helps up Tom Cruise, and
that is all you
smiles,
get there.
but he kind of ignores him, and it's like, okay, whatever.
He's like, oh, are we good now? Oh,
yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe we are.
So like, it just, the development felt weird, and it didn't, like, it worked. It's fine. It's a blockbuster spectacle. It hit the things it needed to hit, but like, it's also such a like, it's telling you it's important, you know. It keeps reminding you that this relationship's important, you know. So it did deserve that attention, and it maybe just needed variety in one of their interactions. Yeah, that kind of helped that narrative.
I'll say something too, something a negative, because this movie sucked and I hate it. I have one negative thought about it, and I hate it. No, that's not true. But it was pretty, like, to me, Jennifer Connelly's character, they did a pretty good job of having her exist for a reason. But that reason was definitely just to be Pete Maverick Mitchell's sort of like subconscious or conscience. Yeah. Where it's just like, where he's like, I don't know, I think this time they're going to shut me down. And she's like, you're not gonna take that. You're not gonna.
Well,
sit.
it's funny because he talks himself too,
Yeah.
like when he's alone. So it's like we have two forms of his subconscious.
I also really like it when he's like, come on, you idiot. I don't know. I think
But sometimes like, wait, is he talking to his team or is he, like it's just like, which is fine. It's just funny.
there's a funny like I was watching this movie and it's pretty funny because I was like, this could also like this is this the like lowest status that we've seen Tom Cruise? Maybe not like ever, but like he gets the short end of the stick a lot. And
he has
like
to eat crow for a while too. Like
he faces the consequences of his action in a way that is much more like permanent. Where I feel like in the past in like old Tom Cruise movies where he faces the consequences of his actions, but that he's 35-year-old Tom Cruise at the height of his game. 35-year-old Ethan Hunt, he's going to figure out a way. He's going to figure out the way to do the thing, and he's not actually going to face the consequences because you just don't understand. And the consequences that he's facing in this movie are that he's old, and there's nothing that he can do about it. And I was like, oh, shit. And so you see that on Tom Cruise's face or on Maverick's face a lot, and I was like, damn, okay, Tom.
Yeah, I think that was a good touch. I mean, obviously he was hiding his physical form as much as he could while teasing it enough to sell it, but like the theming did feel very self-aware, and I really hope Tom Cruise doesn't fight age, because like I would like to see him in things as an old man, like because if he looks like weird Hollywood plastic person, I don't know, like he has the money and he can produce things, but it's just like, so he will have stuff, but it's just, I don't know. Yeah, like I think Brad Pitt's doing it. I'm sure Brad Pitt's had plenty of work done, but like, he's doing it well. Like he's embracing it, and it works with the roles he's had. I don't know.
No, I agree.
Complete side note: like Ryan Gosling as Ken, he looks so old, in that promotional photo, and it's weird. Like he's obviously a very attractive dude, but you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know.
It's just I don't know. I feel like Ken should be more youthful.
Does he look so old?
He doesn't look. I mean, I don't know. Just like
he doesn't look so old to me. I've seen it. Like
it looks like an old man trying to look young. Like it looks like a boy band singer, like getting good to go back on tour, their residency in Vegas.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I know what you're saying. I don't know where you're getting that from. Is it because of his hair?
I think it's the hair, and I just saw the New Kids on the Block promotional material, and he looks just like them.
Okay. I mean, I think he's only like 37. Ryan Gosling age. We're going all over the place. Oh, he's 41.
Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe like Channing Tatum 10 years ago is the vibe of an actor. I don't know who that is today. But characters in this movie, do you have any more negatives or like positive? Like, I guess, what kind of positives do you have on cast or characters?
I mean, I like this movie. I think it's the best version of the movie that it could be.
What's your thoughts on Miles Teller?
It's gotta be frustrating being Miles Teller and essentially shooting this sort of like career changing, like upgrading your status a little bit as far as like being a bankable star, especially after Fantastic or whatever the fuck. So like going from that and then making this movie and being like, I'm going to be seen as a bankable star, and then having to sit on it for 3 years and not being able to do anything about it, and then still sort of being seen as like, not box office poison, but like not a bankable star that you could put in your movie or whatever, has got to be frustrating. Also, North Carolina guy, also apparently not a super pleasant person to hang out with.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, that's
Ross Patterson and they've had him visit a few. Like he's come back. But
Yeah, I mean that's complete hearsay. I obviously don't know the dude at all, and I've really liked his movies. That's just like the scuttlebutt that I've heard is that he's kind of maybe hard to work with, but I don't fucking know. I haven't worked with him. I would love to work with him. He'd beat me up probably.
It's like a good mixture of. I don't know. Like I like the movies he does, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I love
like,
Whiplash.
I really liked. Yeah, I liked Whiplash. I liked War Dogs. I haven't seen Thank You for Your Service. I don't know how much like propaganda that movie is, or if it's just if it's a good story. It's like I don't know. The name is super like, is this propaganda or Thank You for My Service? I don't know. I might watch that out of curiosity.
Yeah. I like Miles Teller. I like the stuff that he does. I think I don't know, maybe I think that he does fucking great in this movie. And I think one of the things that Miles Teller really does well is bring that sort of like serious lightness to things.
Yeah. Like he has like a dweebiness, but he looks hard at the same time. Or not hard, but you know what I mean? Like there's an edge to him while looking goofy and innocent or approachable.
Well, he fits. It's hard to like describe, like who's the funny friend who is also sort of like the wild card. Like I mean, he fits it well. Was like Night Out or something with Michael B. Jordan, him and Zac Efron.
Yeah.
Or where it's like he fits. That's what he looks like, and like it doesn't like where he's like the funny friend who's probably the smartest, but is also the wild card and is probably going to start the fights and try and finish the fights, or lose the fight and then go back and set their car on fire, but do it in a way that makes you laugh, and then also will be the one who like lies to get you into the party. Like, you know what I mean? Where it's like he's like
the
both,
cool guy that's also endearing. It's
like he's like the cool funny dude who is
he's
like
the cool guy that doesn't deserve. Like he's too cool. Why is he looking out for me? I don't know.
But no. But also, I think he is the ugliest dude in a hot friend group. Like if you put him with Zac Efron and Michael B. Jordan,
I see what you're saying.
You know, like he is an attractive man, but he is the ugliest dude in his hot friend group, and he hangs out with the hot people, but he is the ugliest dude in the hot friend group, and so
it brings him down.
It brings him down, but he's also like sort of the meanest, but also the funniest and the one who pays the attention. Like that's his look. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm the picture you're painting is painted in red.
Good.
I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but,
it's vibrant. It's vibrant.
Yeah,
burned in.
I mean, the making him look like him and Goose is such a good casting. Obviously, the mustache sells it, but I don't know, especially. Like, it's funny, Goose being a lanky guy is like the characterization, and I think that's why Tom Cruise is being seen as a short one.
Yeah.
And then that, obviously, Miles Teller is probably an average-sized dude, but Tom Cruise, let's see, Miles Teller height.
I think he's probably 6'2". Maybe he's not.
He's 6, so not even that tall.
Yeah, well,
but,
I mean, Tom Cruise is like, what, 5'6"?
Yeah. So,
Tom Cruise.
But it works well, and it's cool to, like, I mean, I feel like Tom Cruise gets a characterization as this like person vain, like won't be like can't be punched to put on his back in a fight kind of guy. Like I think he's a egomaniac that is okay with the art, like the art just being the art and the story needing to be told, and he always gets redeemed anyways. But like where you have like The Rock or Jason Statham or Vin Diesel, those movie star types that just have contract clauses where they can't look bad.
Yeah,
like it's a weird movie star thing. I think we've talked about it before, but like seeing someone down makes it better when they're up. It makes them more endearing and relatable.
And there's a thing in improv where you like, go into a scene and essentially you want to play the loser, because that makes you endearing to the audience. And obviously, when you do improv, you do improv, you're playing to a live audience, and so you want to get the audience on your side so they pay more attention, blah, blah, blah. And I think that Tom Cruise does the best job of losing to then make his wins feel more like hell yeah, which is, I think, one of the things that he has going for him as a crazy Scientologist. But it's like he loses the best of any of those any of this, like the big movie stars that always win. Like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, it's like he's like 6'4" and whatever, and so it's like, how am I gonna lose? Like, you know, he doesn't look like he can lose. Yeah, any of those dudes, they're so big they don't look like they can lose. Tom Cruise, he's already at a disadvantage because he's smaller. But he's got to be quicker. He's got to be smarter, and so I think that there's something. There's probably something about the American psyche as like content consumers where we're like, we love to see this little loser who is the best at what he does always, but he always just gets the win because he did it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes him more endearing. Like The Rock can be endearing with his charming. He's endearing due to just almost 100% charm and comedy.
Yeah,
I guess, which like you lack the depth, I guess, that you can have otherwise. And so it's, I don't know. Like I think there's Rock fans who'll never get tired of The Rock, but then there's people like you who are tired of The Rock because it's
just the same thing.
It's not changing. And then if you throw Kevin Hart with him, it's the same thing. Those two friends having like fun. I don't know. I'm glad it exists in it. But I mean, I can see why. Like it just gets old, and it's weird because then you have a role like Ballers be interesting, but it's still the same Rock.
Yeah.
It's just in a TV show format with cameos, but his lack of variation is so limited that feels interesting. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a movie where he, I think, is an amputee, but he's just The Rock, and it's like that's the little wrinkle they try to make him interesting with, is that I think he has a prosthetic leg or something.
In San Andreas or like
no, it's like some movie
Skyrise or Skyscraper or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I know what you're talking about. Where it's like and again, it's good and it's good for. I mean, I'm sure there's some people who would argue that it's not good representation. But I'm pretty sure at one point he like takes his leg off and then uses it to climb up the skyscraper. Like he essentially brute forces. Again, I don't know. I haven't seen the movie, but I think I've seen a clip where he like unhooks his like prosthetic leg and like uses it to bash, like to either as a weapon or as like a improvised like tool to rock his way up a skyscraper.
Yeah.
The Rock is 6'5", by the way.
Damn. He's a beast.
But yeah, I think that Tom Cruise does the best job of losing, of somebody who never loses on film. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. He plays roles that aren't. I don't know. Born on the 4th of July, super interesting role. I'm trying to think of ones where he like looks bad. There's another one.
Well, he rides the line, and he is also like an actor before he is a movie star. You know,
it's a fine line, but he does lean actor, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's what he started as, you know. And
I mean,
then
the Rock doesn't even feel like he's a movie star, but he almost feels like businessman. Like it's all brand building for his other things and for his longevity. Like it feels like Shaq, you know, where Shaq's a businessman and taking advantage of these things from his platform he had with basketball.
Yeah,
where Rock is using a lot of different platforms, you know, TV and wrestling, and then movies. So.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with what you're saying.
It's funny though because, I somehow watched Tom Cruise movies before I like went into this movie. I was watching like the first Mission Impossible, recently, and I was just like looking at his filmography, and again, I say that he started out as an actor, but he like capitalized on being a movie star so fast, and like in as far as like choosing and creating his own projects in a way where he was like, yes, I'm an actor first and I'm trying to do this stuff, but then also approaching it as like, all right, yeah, I did The Outsiders, Risky Business, I'm a huge star, and then I did Top Gun 3 years later, I'm a huge star, and then he starts producing movies and like really like varying up your diet of Tom Cruise movies, and it's like, it's just crazy that he becomes a star so fast because he's got Risky Business, All the Right Moves, Legend, Top Gun, Color of Money, working with Paul Newman, Rain Man, Born on the 4th of July, Days of Thunder. Like, he's just like banger after banger right off the top, Cocktail, and then he hits Few Good Men, and he's like, it's just, I don't know, it feels like, so it's, and then he fucking produces Mission Impossible and turns that into, and then has like the wherewithal to then go back and do Mission Impossible 3 10 years after he did the first Mission Impossible, and 6 years after Mission Impossible 2 did like kind of bad. And then he goes back and is like, actually, let's do it good. And then he turns it into a fucking franchise that he gets to do until he's dead.
Yeah. Again, makes him feel alive.
It shows like an incredible business mind as well as like a artistic mind. And I don't know if it's him, but it's like, it's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think as you talked about his acting chops, or whatever. I'm watching the first one in the background and I'm thinking about the second one, and I think any actor could have pulled this off with this scenario of a movie 30 years later. But like in the second movie, you get such a sense of a life lived since then.
Yeah.
And it's not super expository. They do say some things like, oh, you're in Bosnia and Iraq. And then there's like lines and like with Penny, I think her name is, and like the history they've had, and like she's a completely new character, but like you totally buy it that she's,
you get the idea that he's like that.
You get the history without having to see it.
Yeah.
You got a few throwaway lines, and like it's such a cool, and just the passage of time, and anyone, I think once you hit a certain age, when you start to hit maybe like 25, you start to realize time and eras in your life, just like experiences and stories build up, and those anecdotes and how they apply to your life. I don't know, just like all that to say is that something I picked up that was so interesting and cool to watch and see in between the lines, just in performance, and I don't think Tom Cruise is here performing and like thinking about like pulling made up memories of this character to motivate these things, but it's like, it's definitely there. It's on purpose to some degree. And it added a lot to me, and being a sequel and calling back to that, but it wasn't calling back to specific things in the last movie for the sake of that. It was more just calling back to the passage of time and letting go, and how things change, and thinking of, well, how did I get here, and what mistakes did I make along the way, or diverging paths. And I don't think I'm digging deep by saying these are things that were there, but like but they didn't give you, it was all performance and throwaway lines, and I got all of that, and it was not profound, but it was very cool. I don't know.
I mean, this movie does a great job of show not tell,
Yeah.
Where it's like, you see the history that they have, you see the things that you see the life that he's lived, and you see like, like every time that they're like, yo,
I guess it doesn't rely on nostalgia. Like it definitely relies on nostalgia, the last movie, but it also just relies on nostalgia, I think. Like somehow this movie that's almost an echo and has tons of callbacks to the first, just feels like almost a commentary on the cyclical nature of life, or just life passing, I guess, as a general thing too. So it's like it hits on both sides of nostalgia as a theme and as a sequel of a pop culture hit, you know?
And then also too, I would say like sort of, I don't know. It felt like, and this is also just because of the narrative that I made up in my mind, but like sort of like a commentary or like on Tom Cruise as like doing all his stunts, being like sort of like the last movie star, where they're like, you can't keep doing this, bro. No one else is doing it this way. No one else is doing it this way, dude. You gotta hang it up. And he keeps being like, nah, dude, I'm gonna do it my way, or the highway. Yeah. Days of Thunder 2 coming at you soon. 64-year-old race car driver. Let's go, dude.
So this movie did one of the things where it's like the climax, and then it like has a second climax. So like they do the mission and they escape. Tom Cruise sacrifices himself. Obviously, I don't think we're just like, obviously, you know, it's not going to end that way. But then you kind of get that treat of like, okay, cool, another little story and climax, second climax.
Yeah.
And that was fun. I think that was the most kind of cheesy, not cheesy, kind of like the most just movie, like movie spectacle, modern, like Marvel era cinema thing in the movie. But it was still fine and still a fun treat, just because you got dogfighting. You didn't have dogfighting, and it was kind of a way for them to hit different like kind of mission types, different flying things in a naval or in a military air kind of exercise. And so you hit everything. You even got like a helicopter being shot down by a plane.
Yeah.
Or what the pilots do when they're on the ground, even though it was ridiculous. And then you even got the nostalgic callback to like, was it F-14 or 16?
F-14.
And seeing the technology change and the funny commentary on that. You got to see Maverick with his flight partner again, his partner's son.
Yeah.
Like, it gets very fan servicey, but it's just, it hits on so many things all at once. You're just like, I'm happy to be here, you know? And it doesn't matter if it's like a second climax in 10 minutes. And it's paced well too, which it could have very easily not have been, because it's risky to build up and then wait, we're still here, you know, and you got to rebuild up. And so it was well done for what it was. Yeah. Very fun.
I will say, I guess this is sort of a negative thing, also just kind of like a funny thing where it's like, you don't really think about this, it doesn't matter. But John, you're our resident sort of like military expert guy. How likely is it that there's someone out there who has better technology than the United States in the air?
I mean, the Chinese could.
Okay. I just like, it just felt like it just
the Russians technically have better tanks than us.
Okay.
But they can't make a lot of them.
Okay.
So that's why they're going to Ukraine with Cold War tech. They have like one of the best tanks in the world, but they only have like 10 of them. So it's just
gotcha.
Well,
I think if
I had to guess, it would be either the British or the Chinese.
Well, it's just funny to me because it was like very much.
It's very vague too. The Generation 5.
Where they're like, oh, fifth generation. They got fifth generation fighters, and it's like, okay, why don't we? If they got fucking, what are we talking about here, guys? You know, like,
yeah.
It was so like, again, it was not enough to like take me out of it, because it is like, it's what it is. But it was funny that they were like, well, especially we go from the beginning of the movie where he's like, we're going to go Mach 10 in this stealth fucking drone pilot thing, or thing that's going to be better than drones.
The movie, like, I mean, also I think was it Lockheed Martin? They sell to other countries, maybe not our enemies, but maybe our, like, certain people during certain times, and then they become enemies. But I guess a fifth generation fighter with literally seconds of research, is a jet fighter classification, which includes major technologies developed during the first part of the 21st century. As of 2022, these are the most. And it lists them out. But who has them is Japan, Sweden, Turkey, India, Russia, China, and the United States. Or the programs. So those countries made them, and other people probably bought them.
Gotcha.
But he does say in a part of the movie, it's like, the is it F-18?
Yeah.
It's like the F-18 is the best one for this mission set with all these different requirements. It's the F-18, and so I think the mission is built around the plane, and it's not the most advanced plane the U.S. has.
Okay.
If that makes sense, is what I'm picking up from that.
Gotcha.
But,
Gotcha.
I don't know. In terms of like Navy and airplane stuff, that I'm pretty ignorant on that.
Well, I know, but you probably know more than I do, basically, which is why I said, the resident doesn't mean that you are an expert, but the resident expert who probably knows a little bit more than me, who probably knows very, very little. I would say even definitely knows more, very, very little.
I mean, I guess in terms of like we said spectacle a few times, but how the movie looks and the things they filmed, it looks outstanding. Even the first Top Gun, it's like these are real planes and it looks cool.
Yeah,
and the turns and the breaking the sound barrier and the smoky stuff that kind of goes around when they break the barrier,
where it's
just
it
so
makes
cool.
that.
And it's just like
the sound is pretty cool too.
Like you have the Quinjet or whatever, or like X-Wings, and like that stuff's cool, whatever. But like this is real, and it just elevates it to a whole different level of just cool and visceral, and like you kind of get some like residual vicarious adrenaline because it's real, and like people do this in real life. This is really filmed, and then they I think Tom Cruise was in the back seat, and they were filming him under the G's and all these different things, and it's just so cool. The like I think. I don't think you need to be military history or technologically interested in these machines to find that cool. And I think that's where also going to the theater is cool, because it's a cool showcase of real life starships in a sense,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's cool, and it's I like seeing, because we have this idea of planes kind of moving on a straight kind of line without drifting in a sense, but it's cool when you see a real plane. It is playing with air like a sailboat kind of can use the wind.
Because they're moving so fast that the air is not like it's not as impermeable, or not, it's not as like air as it is here, where it moves. It's more maybe
matter,
it's more like water. It's more like water is what I'm saying, essentially, I guess. Maybe less like, obviously less like water.
Maybe not matter, but
we're saying the same things. We just not using verbiage that's super.
We're not science fans.
Yeah. Well, I'm a fan of science. Don't know
Patrick's
how to.
a pure fundamentalist. Science, like when it comes to science, like Patrick isn't religious, but he pulls his science from the Bible.
That's true. This is true.
Not your spirituality, but just science. That's such a weird archetype. That'd be like a stupid improv bit. It'd be so hard to set that up, but it's the concept. It seems funny in my head right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love seeing it. They shot it beautifully. I love the. I don't know. It just continues to push the bounds, like with him jumping out of the plane, and then all the things where, like, it's got to be sort of like him and his crew, like Christopher McQuarrie and any of the people that he's working with, they've got to be like pushing the boundaries of practical filmmaking, the way that sort of like James Cameron pushes the boundaries of like CGI computer filmmaking and stuff. Because it's like, this shit's crazy, and they have to have like perfectly balanced, like perfectly built things that they specifically built for this.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. It's like, it's really cool. And it's really frustrating that Tom Cruise is like a cultist.
Yeah. I was in Denver, and we were just walking back from a brewery, and we walked by the local Scientology building, and it was huge, so much parking.
Yep.
And it had like really bad graphic design posters about joining and stuff. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, it's a strange one.
Was there's something where a girl went in she needed to go to the bathroom really bad, and she went in, and they were super accommodating, but then they but then they reel you in. I don't remember. I don't know if it was like my girlfriend's friend or it's like some TikTok story. I can't remember.
I believe it.
But that's a non-story. That's just me just saying something. Adjacent to Scientologists. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Watching the first one and the plane stuff, just the flying, makes me want to go back and watch the new one because it's just so cool. I don't know. Like it's just cool. Like these planes flying. Like it's I'm pulling that from like the childhood John airplanes and fire trucks, like that kind of like wonder, and like as a kid you think that stuff is cool. I don't know how, like that's me now watching this. It's still it's hitting that. It's hitting that like childhood early mid 90s American boy kind of things, like, and I'm just specifying that because I don't know if it is specific to me in that archetype, but it's hitting that's how it hit me. It's like it's hitting those old things. And is nostalgic in that way, not even the content of the movie, but like, this is cool, sick. I don't know. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Where it's like, nice. I want to see that again. It definitely has that sort of like rewatchability, not because of like the content is like, wow, I really gotta drink this in. It's just because like, I want to see them do that shit again.
Yeah.
It has that sort of feel.
Yeah.
So what do you give this movie? Any closing thoughts? What do you rank this movie? Or not rank?
I gave it 3.5 call signs. I don't know. 3.5 airplane ejections. Ooh. One of them was failed, so that's why it's a half.
No.
Out of 5. It could easily be a 4. I don't know. But I think I gave it a 4 as my knee jerk out of the theater because I was like, I feel unsatisfied with the Rooster story.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. But it could be a 4. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I enjoyed it. I recommend it. Go see it.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think I'm going to give it a 4 conversations with Jennifer Connelly telling me what I should do out of 5. Just because it's like it. Just because it's fun and it is. I don't need to see another. I don't need to see a single more unnecessary sequel because Tom Cruise did the best version of it, of something that was like completely unnecessary and then made it worthwhile.
Yeah.
I agree. So, what have you been watching, bud?
Let's see. Only movie I'd watched was The Hangover Part 2.
Oh wow.
The end of the first one was on TV. I went to my sister's. She just had her baby, so I met my niece for the first time.
Oh, nice.
She was like 2 days old by the time I met her. But like The Hangover Part 1 was on, so let's watch the second one. And those movies aged well. And I've said it before the last time I watched it, like Todd Howard? Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips.
Like you could still make comedy today, man. Like there's jokes in there that would not be super chill today, but they're not so heinous. Like they're not so out of touch. Like they're just like, let's just not say these words or go make these kind of jokes. Even though like they're jokes, they're contextualized, but it's just like there's only a handful of them. The rest is just comedy. Obviously the Chow character would probably not exist today because it's a pretty bad one in terms of contemporary speaking. But just the comedy is there. The touch of comedy and the understanding of comedy is there where he can make something today. And he can hold back a little bit on some jokes. And I don't know. That's my stance there. I watched a little bit of the Stanley Cup. And then I've been listening to a hockey podcast, which no one is interested in.
Ooh.
And I won't go too deep in it. It's called Spin Chicklets. But it's just like these hockey players. And they're so boisterous and like loud Boston Canadian accents. And I don't know what it is about it because I don't like those accents. They annoy me. I grew up with it. But these guys are just funny, and they have this ball hockey tournament they do. It's just like hockey on tar with a ball and you're running around.
Yeah.
And there's this one guy, they call him Noseface Killa, and he's just this ugly dude, and he's like one of the best ball hockey players. And he's like just some weird, thick accented northern dude, just destroying professional hockey players in this thing called ball hockey. And so I watched one of their like documentary things on Tournament recently. And
Nice.
it's just weird. It's just like weird niche stuff that exists, and
Good.
you just get into it, and it's just I don't know.
I
wouldn't
know,
dive
I
into
understand.
that too much, but I watched that recently. Actually,
Good.
right before this. So
Oh, good. There you go.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I've also been watching a lot of like terrain miniature stuff lately
Huh.
because I bought a bunch for like D&D and all that.
Okay. Okay.
What about you?
I watched Mission Impossible 1, and then I sort of like watched Mission Impossible 1 and Skyfall at the same time. Like I watched the first act of Mission Impossible 1, and then I watched the first act of Skyfall.
It's like a vibe. I don't know what the vibe is there, but it's
Yeah, and then I finished watching Mission Impossible 1, and then I finished watching Skyfall. I don't know. It was it was an interesting thing that I did, but I liked it. Just because their opening sequences, their opening bits are very similar.
yeah.
And I was just like, because I started watching Skyfall first, and I was like, oh, they're going after the list. And I was like, that's like, it's Mission Impossible 1. And I was like, man, I want to see Mission Impossible 1. I haven't seen first Mission Impossible in a minute.
I haven't seen the newest James Bond still.
Oh, the newest James Bond is still pretty good.
Really? Yeah, they
Yeah.
go every other, so it makes sense.
This is a good one, I would say.
All right.
I would say that this is a pretty good one. But yeah, that's kind of been what I've been watching. That and trying to getting caught up on Critical Role, Exandria Unlimited, Calamity.
Calamity?
Yeah, it's like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like they're playing out the like one of the world-defining events with like level 14 characters and like a 4 session like sort of like extended one shot that
Yeah.
Brennan Lee Mulligan is DMing, and is so fucking good.
Nice. Yeah, I'm getting all this stuff, and I don't know. I want to DM. I can't do the performance
I
stuff,
know.
but I have everything else. Like I
Yeah.
think I have the creative telling. I have like the technical stuff, and I'll have the physical terrain stuff to do it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
It
fucking
might
cool.
be fun to do some one shots
Yeah,
and stuff.
I think you should. I mean, and I think
There's-
that's too is like this is as we end this podcast, but it's like I think everybody tells stories their own way, and I think that just because how I DM or how I tell stories is one way, I think that just because I'm like doing voices and shit doesn't mean that that's the way that it has to be done. As long as you
Yeah.
get people who are vibing together, that's that's how stories. That's how you all agree. This like that's the best thing about that, where it's just like we're all telling stories together.
Yeah. It's just playing pretend as adults, and it's a fun time.
It's a fun time, and we're all just looking to have a fun time. Tom Cruise trying to live forever. Everybody else trying to have a fun time.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. That's the vibe.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. I highly recommend go checking out Top Gun in theaters. Be safe. Both of us boys, both of us stinky boys just got off that sweet COVID. Be safe, mask up, do the thing, be nice, follow the CDC guidelines and shit. But go see Top Gun in theaters. It's a fucking fun ride.
Yeah. You're gonna enjoy it.
You
Even
really,
like if you. Yeah, I think most of you will enjoy it.
yeah.
If not, it'll be something cool to look at. If you're not impressed by it, then
And then fucking
probably-
shout at us. Hit us up in the comments and be like, "Psst, come on, that's propaganda bullshit. Fuck you. How dare you? I love you so
Yeah?
much."
Oh, I forgot to read reviews, but another time, which won't happen because we're not gonna. We won't cover Top Gun reviews.
Not Top Gun
another
again,
episode.
but
yeah,
maybe reviews another time.
yes, we'll hit that.
Well, as they say in San Diego, Fighter Town, USA, Hey, I'm flying. Watch out. I'm
flying here.
I'm flying here.
All right, bye.
Bye.